Dear Leo soul, what if I told you that one small reaction, just one moment of misalignment on September 7 could quietly close the door to something God has been preparing to give you? Would you slow down? Would you listen more carefully? Would you choose differently? Because this message is not just a forecast, it is a sacred reminder. This Sunday is not what it seems. September 7th is not just another Sunday. It carries a hidden spiritual weight, a divine test dressed in ordinary clothing. And if you're here, hearing these words, it's not by accident. You were meant to find this. You were called to pause. You were chosen to listen deeply because today, heaven is watching what you do in the silence. There are days when the universe shouts, and then there are days like today, when it whispers. And Leo, today is that whisper, a soft, sacred current flowing beneath the surface of what looks like routine. A test of awareness. A mirror for your spirit. A trap for the distracted. And a portal for the present. You may already feel it. The slight tension in your chest. The unexpected delay this morning. The strange silence in someone's voice. The moment you almost spoke but hesitated. These are not glitches in your day, they are divine checkpoints. God does not test you through thunder and fire. He watches how you hold your peace when no one is watching. He watches how you respond when your ego is threatened but your soul is still. And that's why you're here. Not to be entertained, but to be reminded of who you are. Leo, you are not just strong, you are spiritually strategic. You are not just bright, you are divinely backed. And today, you are standing on sacred ground, whether you realize it or not. One careless move can send ripples into weeks ahead. One conscious breath can unlock doors no man could ever open for you. I invite you now, before we continue, to ground this moment by affirming your presence. Leave a comment below that simply says, "I'm awake." Or share 777 if you feel this message vibrating in your core. These small acts send big signals to the universe. They're not just comments. They're confirmations. And when you speak your readiness, you claim your alignment. I want to take a moment and sincerely thank you for being here, for showing up, for trusting that there is more to this moment than meets the eye. Every like, every comment, every subscription brings you deeper into the eternal mindfulness community, where awakening souls like you come to remember their power and hear what most people ignore. Your support fuels this space and allows these messages to reach those who need them most. So, if your spirit has guided you here, stay. Listen closely. Because the rest of this message holds revelations you cannot afford to miss. What the universe is revealing to Leo right now is sacred, rare, and deeply personal. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why you were drawn to this exact moment in time. Now take a deep breath. And let's begin. Leo, as we continue from where we left off, where the whisper of the universe becomes louder in its silence, you are invited to enter the energy of September 7th with a level of awareness that transcends routine perception. Today is not ordinary. It is energetically precise, cosmically coded, and emotionally charged in a way that most will miss unless they pause long enough to feel beneath the surface. And you, being who you are, have the courage to look where others glance away. On this day, the moon sits in Scorpio, forming a square with Venus in your very own sign. This is not a conflict to fear, but a reflection to understand. What arises here is the tension between the vulnerability of deep emotion and the craving for external validation. You may feel a dissonance in the idea pull to retreat inward while simultaneously desiring to be seen, acknowledged, affirmed. This is not confusion, it is contrast. And in contrast, great clarity is born. Much like the surface of a still pond disturbed by a single drop, what appears as disturbance is actually the invitation to look more closely at what lies beneath. Venus in Leo desires expression, attention, beauty, and radiance. The Moon in Scorpio asks for depth, privacy, and emotional truth. When they collide, as they do today, we are given a mirror that shows both our shine and our shadows. For you, Leo, this is where spiritual maturity emerges, not in choosing one over the other, but in knowing when to let go of the mask and allow your heart to speak for itself, even if no one applauds in the moment. Meanwhile, Mercury is still retrograde, slipping through the cracks of our thoughts, pulling at our old narratives, echoing back conversations we thought we had already resolved. Words may feel twisted, intentions misunderstood, and clarity delayed. But here lies a gentle lesson. To communicate well, we must first listen not just to others, but to the silent language of our own inner voice. Today especially, your words carry weight beyond their sound. The pause before you speak may hold more power than the sentence itself. In every dialogue, observe not only what is being said but what is being felt beneath it. Energy never lies, even when language does. And then, as if orchestrated with perfect timing, the Moon's alignment with Uranus brings unexpected emotional tremors. Sudden shifts in mood. A feeling of, where did that come from? These flashes are not meant to unsettle you but to awaken you. The unpredictable has a way of opening doors that logic keeps locked. When things break pattern, we are forced to meet life without scripts, and it is in that space, unfiltered and unscripted, that something real can emerge. Be gentle with yourself in these moments. There is wisdom in the upheaval, if you are willing to feel it all the way through. Imagine, if you will, a traveler crossing a swinging rope bridge high above a deep ravine. The winds pick up. The ropes creak. Below is uncertainty. Behind is safety. But forward lies freedom. This is you today. You are not being tested for punishment. You are being tested to be prepared for the blessing. And that blessing cannot enter if your hands are too full of performance, pride, or preconceived outcomes. Let go. Walk with presence, not pretense. What this moment asks of you is not reaction but reflection. Not to defend the ego, but to honor the soul. Not to chase recognition, but to rest in truth. You don't need to prove who you are today, Leo. You only need to remember it and act accordingly. If you feel emotionally raw, let that be your compass, not your curse. If you feel exposed, it's because something is ready to be seen by you. Even if no one else understands it yet. Today is not about answers. It is about awareness. You are not here to fix the world in a day. You are here to feel the moment fully, and let that be enough. In doing so, you participate in a transformation that is both deeply personal and universally profound. Keep breathing. Keep noticing. Keep walking softly, wisely, and with the dignity of one who knows the weight of their own becoming. When we speak of warnings from the cosmos, many expect something grand, a thunderclap, a revelation, a flashing sign across the sky. But the real teachings often arrive quietly, disguised in the everyday. A missed call that leaves a strange feeling in your chest. A sentence that cuts deeper than it should. A familiar face that suddenly looks unfamiliar, clouded by jealousy or unspoken tension. These are not accidents. They are invitations to pause. To notice. To respond, not react. September 7th unfolds as what can best be described as an energetic imprint, a moment in time when every thought, emotion, and response leaves a ripple, like footprints pressed into wet earth. What you carry into today becomes amplified. A small kindness may open unexpected doors. But just as easily, a careless word, an impulsive gesture, or a lapse into fear could subtly close a gate that was meant to swing wide open for you. This is not a punishment. It is simply the law of energy in motion. Cause and effect are not separate events. They are threads of the same weave. Today, you are not being asked to be perfect. You are being asked to be aware. What arises in your path: the slow internet, the misunderstood message, the invitation to gossip, the temptation to lash out. These are not trivial inconveniences. They are soft corners of the universe pressing against your edges, asking, "Are you really awake?" Because if you are, you'll know that how you show up now, especially in the subtle moments, shapes how your future shows up for you. In teachings that value mindfulness and self-mastery, it's said that a single moment of unchecked anger can burn forests of merit. Not because the universe punishes, but because the fire within us, if unobserved, consumes what we've taken years to cultivate. Think of this day as that, the kindling moment. What emotion are you feeding? What door are you stepping through when you choose how to respond? Leo, this energy isn't just swirling around you, it's mirroring you. It's reflecting the state of your inner leadership. You are, by nature, a sign of fire, passion, and heart. But when your fire is directed inward with mindfulness, it warms and guides. When it's flung outward unconsciously, it scorches and divides. Today is asking you to hold that fire with both hands. To recognize your power not by how loudly you speak, but by how wisely you stay present. This is how destiny is not chased but aligned with. Let's consider the deeper layers of this message. When the cosmos tests you, it is not to catch you failing. It is to reveal to you the strength that's been dormant, the clarity you've overlooked, the peace you forgot you already had access to. The test is a mirror, not a trap. But as with all mirrors, clarity only comes when we are still enough to see what's being reflected. React, and the image blurs. Pause, and the truth comes into focus. So when the day nudges you in unexpected ways, when something small makes you feel something big, stop. Breathe. Name what you feel. Ask yourself, is this worth locking the door to my own blessing over? Because sometimes, the doorway to the next chapter is so subtle we don't even know we passed it. Until it no longer opens again. This is not to frighten you. It is to empower you. Because the beauty of a day like today is that with every breath, you are given another chance to choose again. To step gently. To protect your frequency. To honor the opportunity hidden in the quiet. And when you do, you won't need to force anything to happen. The next door will open by itself, not because you pushed, but because you were ready. When the universe sends you subtle tests, they rarely come cloaked in fire or thunder. Instead, They arrive as gentle distortions in the field, moments that seem almost ordinary, but carry the weight of karmic crossroads. These are not accidents, Leo. These are sacred invitations disguised as temptations. And today, September 7th, is layered with them. Each choice you make, especially the quiet ones, becomes a thread that either weaves you closer to your destined path, or tangles you deeper into an old pattern. There are 3 tests in particular that often hide in plain sight, and each speaks directly to a core part of your human experience. The first is what I call the illusion of honesty. It's when someone around you appears to be supportive, even kind, but behind their words, there's a subtle tightness. A hesitation. A discomfort when you share your joy. If you've ever noticed someone growing distant when your light gets brighter, or offering compliments that land like a question rather than a truth, you felt this test. Envy often wears the mask of concern, of backhanded praise, or polite silence. And the real test here isn't to fight it, or even confront it. The test is in how you protect your energy. How you choose to keep shining without shrinking, and how you quietly acknowledge the vibration beneath the surface without needing to name it. Just as a tree continues to grow whether or not the sky is watching, you are asked to keep rising unshaken by the shadows that your light may awaken in others. The second temptation is even trickier. It's the return of the old narrative. A person, a habit, or an emotional pattern you thought you outgrew may suddenly appear again, perfectly timed. Maybe it's an ex texting you late at night. Maybe it's an opportunity that looks safe, familiar, and easy, but you know, deep down, it smells like your past. This is the spiral path at work. Life is not linear, it moves in spirals, always circling back to test whether we've truly integrated the lesson or just intellectually moved past it. And this test is quiet. No one else will know you're taking it. But you will. Your body will feel it first. A tightening in the chest, a clench in the stomach, a moment where your intuition whispers, not again. And the choice, Leo, is whether you respond from who you used to be, or from who you've become. And then, there's the most delicate test of all, the false light. It's the opportunity that looks good, sounds right, feels aligned on the surface. But something inside you feels off. This is not a no that shouts. It's a no that hums quietly in your solar plexus. You'll feel it when the invitation comes wrapped in urgency, or flattery, or future promises. This is the kind of moment where discernment is the highest form of intelligence. Not every glitter is gold, and not every door is yours to walk through, even if it's open. In these moments, you are not being called to be cynical but to be precise. To ask, does this resonate with the part of me that's healed? Or with the part of me that's still seeking validation? In teachings of inner mastery, there is a phrase that says the wise do not fear temptation, they study it. They see it not as something to avoid, but as a mirror that reveals the unseen layers of their own craving, doubt, and desire. And once seen clearly, temptation loses its grip. You don't have to fight it. You just have to recognize it. These spiritual decoys only pull you when you are still unsure of your center. But when your internal compass is steady, you'll feel the difference between real and almost real with crystal clarity. So today, listen not just with your ears, but with your energy. Feel what contracts and what expands. Let your body, your breath, and your silence speak louder than the noise. These temptations may look small, but how you navigate them marks the difference between another cycle repeated and a cycle completed. In the space we now enter, Leo, there is no need to rush. The energy of September 7th does not demand force, it invites presence. If you've ever stood in a quiet forest just before dawn, you'll understand what this day asks of you. Not noise. Not performance. Just quiet attentiveness to what is real and unfolding, moment by moment. This is not the kind of day to conquer. It's the kind of day to feel. The kind of day where transformation happens not in loud declarations, but in the pause between your impulses. Awakening doesn't require a platform. It doesn't need a mantra shouted 100 times, nor a ritual wrapped in complexity. Sometimes it lives in a single breath that you actually feel all the way through. Sometimes, it takes form in the kindness you offer when no one is watching. In a choice to remain still when every part of you wants to react. That's the quiet revolution. And today, that is enough. The mind often believes that progress requires doing more, speaking louder, moving faster. But awareness has its own tempo. It moves like water over stone, gentle, constant, and impossibly strong. On a day like this, the wisest thing you can do is slow down until you can hear the vibration of your own truth beneath the noise. And then align with that. A single action taken from awareness carries more power than 100 steps taken from habit. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to achieve clarity about your whole life. You are simply being asked to hold yourself, as you are, with a kind of sacred honesty. Write something down, a feeling you're ready to release, a dream you're ready to claim, a belief you want to seal into the fabric of your being. This small gesture becomes a contract with the unseen. It's not the words that matter most, but the frequency you place behind them. When intention is anchored in stillness, the ripple moves far beyond the page. Color is frequency, and frequency is memory. That's why golden yellow holds such power today. It resonates with personal sovereignty, abundance without apology, confidence without the need for validation. Let this color guide you not just in what you wear or see, but in how you hold yourself. Walk as if the sun lives inside your chest, and everything you touch is illuminated from within. That's not arrogance, it's embodiment. The number 5 pulses gently through this day. It speaks of movement, but not just external. It symbolizes a turning point of perspective, a shift in internal rhythm. In teachings of inner clarity, 5 is not Chao, Sit is the space between what was and what can be. It reminds us that freedom is not a place, but a decision. The freedom to think differently, to respond differently, to begin again. And you can do that right now, simply by choosing to show up in your own life with softness instead of resistance. So ask yourself, can I let this day pass through me without grasping at it? Can I trust that nothing important will be missed if I move slowly, deliberately, with presence? Because the more awake you are to the subtle, the more life begins to speak in whispers rather than shouts. And the more you hear those whispers, the less you'll need to search for signs. You'll know. You'll feel. You'll act not out of pressure, but from peace. That is the essence of awakening. It's not something to reach for. It's something to return to. A remembering, not a chasing. And today, Leo, that remembering is more than enough. As we arrive here grounded in presence, softened by awareness, and guided by the quiet rhythm of this day, it becomes clear that spirituality is not separate from life. It is life, lived with attention. And so, Leo, our next step is not cosmic but deeply personal. It's about how you move through this day with intention in your emotions, in your body, in your breath, in your interactions with others. This is where awareness becomes integration. This is where astrology becomes self-care. Let's begin with your heart space, your emotional world. Today, love is not meant to be forced into form. If someone doesn't respond the way you hoped, let that be okay. If a conversation doesn't unfold with the warmth you anticipated, allow space. Love, in its truest essence, does not beg to be seen, it simply radiates. The real practice is in staying open without chasing, soft without collapsing. If there is tension in your relationships today, choose not to fix or defend, but to truly listen. Not just to words, but to the energy behind them. Often, silence is not a lack of love, it is the presence of something deeper being processed. Trust that. The heart does not bloom by command. It blooms when it feels safe. In your professional world, pause before making decisions that seem urgent. With Mercury still retrograde and emotional pressure high, clarity may be just out of reach today. That's not a failure, that's a signal to step back and let things settle. Write your ideas down. Observe what arises again tomorrow. Often, what survives the pause is what was worth keeping. If someone offers you an opportunity, especially one that feels big or fast, check in with your body before your mind. Ask yourself, does this expand me or contract me? Logic is useful, but intuition is wiser when the air is thick with shifting frequencies. Financially, the most powerful thing you can do today is to slow the impulse to spend from a place of emotion. Whether it's to reward yourself, numb a discomfort, or distract from inner restlessness, pause. Money is not just currency, it's an extension of your energy. And the way you circulate it on a day like today echoes further than you think. If a gift or unexpected amount finds its way to you, let a small portion go toward gratitude. That might mean helping someone quietly, supporting a cause, or simply giving thanks. What you bless, blesses you back. As for your body, your sacred homites especially sensitive today. The emotional weather moves through the nervous system like wind through trees. If you're not careful, that wind becomes restlessness, agitation, or fatigue. Nourish yourself gently. Skip the stimulants. Avoid food that feels heavy or excessive. Instead, reach for what cools and centers. Coconut water carries a calming frequency. Lotus tea, subtle and ancient, connects you to the heart in the most delicate way. These aren't just drinks, theory reminders that you deserve tenderness. That healing isn't earned, it's remembered. And then, when the day feels too much or your mind starts to spiral, return to your breath. Practice the 478 technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale slowly for 8. Do this 3 times, spread throughout the day. Not to escape, but to return. To come back to the place inside you that always knows. To the steady flame behind the flickering thoughts. You are not your impulses. You are not your distractions. You are the awareness behind them. And that awareness, Leo, is more than enough to carry you through this day, not just surviving it, but using it as a doorway into a more grounded, more loving, more conscious version of yourself. Let your actions today be small offerings to the future you are quietly building. Let this be a day where nothing dramatic happens on the surface but everything shifts within. And so, Leo, we've walked together through this sacred terrain, the shifting energy of September 7th, the silent tests, the subtle choices, the whispered invitations to rise. But now, the question is no longer about the stars. It's about you. What will you choose to carry from this moment? What thought, what feeling, what quiet intention will you seal into your next chapter? Remember, this day was never here to challenge your worth. It was here to mirror your presence. It does not ask you to be louder, faster, better. It simply asks you to be more awake, more fully inside your own breath, your own boundaries, your own being. The mistake isn't in missing the sign. The mistake is in thinking you don't matter enough to pause and look. There is no outside force deciding your future for you. The universe is not a judge, it's a reflection. The quality of your presence today becomes the tone of your life tomorrow. So breathe deeply. Slow your reaction. Make your decisions from your center, not from pressure. Speak less to impress, and more to express truth. This is how the smallest moments become miracles. Ask yourself now, what am I truly sealing into this day? What energy do I want echoing through the days to come? Is it peace? Is it self-trust? Is it a renewed vow to stop repeating what no longer honors my soul? Let that question guide you, not just today, but every day. And if this message stirred something in you, if a part of you felt seen, recognized, or even gently called back to yourself, I invite you to leave a comment with the number 777 below. Let that number be your signal to the universe. I am present. I am sealing my vibration today. Your words have power, and your presence here matters more than you know. Before you go, I want to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your time, your energy, your attention, these sacred offerings in this space we've created together. Every like, every share, every subscription to Eternal Mindfulness is not just support for this channel, it's an affirmation of your own journey toward clarity, wholeness, and personal truth. You are not alone. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are in process, and you are being guided. If you found value here today, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who may need to hear these reminders. You never know whose life could be gently shifted by the very words that touched yours. And of course, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness so we can keep walking this path together through cosmic insight, inner healing, and gentle awakening. Because every day, the universe is whispering. This space exists to help you hear it. So, dear Leo, I leave you with this final question. If today were the doorway to your next chapter, how would you step through it? Let that be the energy you choose. Until next time, stay present, stay open, and above all, stay true.